Setup. What if the entire horror you are watching was never supernatural, never random, never accidental, but a pre-planned execution designed inside a laboratory? The Cabin in the Woods looks like a basic teen slasher, but the truth is that everything the characters experience, the creepy cabin, the cellar packed with cursed objects, the monsters waiting just out of sight, is part of a massive setup engineered by scientists whose job is to lure unsuspecting teenagers into a fake environment and sacrifice them to ancient gods. Viewers actually predicted this twist before the movie even dropped because the trailer accidentally revealed glimpses of a control room, and when you combine that with the exaggerated, trope-heavy setup, people realized quickly that the entire scenario felt too staged to be natural. The teens believe they are choosing their fate, but behind the scenes every moment is being manipulated, every scare is being triggered, and every outcome is predetermined. Even something as simple as the cellar door opening is not supernatural, it's a button press. And while the scientists pretend the ritual requires free will, they rig everything just enough to corner the victims into whatever bloody ending satisfies the gods below. In the end, it was never about survival or luck. It was always about sacrifice, and the characters never even had— What if a monster is not a single spirit, but every injustice stacked on top of each other until it becomes something that can no longer be ignored? For decades, fans believed Candyman was only Daniel Robitaille, the tortured artist murdered in the 1800s, but the 2021 film shattered that idea. It revealed something far darker. Candyman is not one man, he is many. A collective, a hive. Every black man who died unjustly in that neighborhood, every life stolen, every story buried, they all fuse into one evolving legend that never disappears because the violence never stops. Viewers had predicted this twist long before the movie dropped, noticing that the marketing emphasized cycles of oppression rather than a single origin. And when Anthony begins transforming into the next Candyman, the theory becomes undeniable. Daniel is only the face we recognize. The hive is the truth beneath the myth. It is why Candyman never dies, why he keeps returning, why the community whispers his name with fear and familiarity. He is the weight of repeated history, the echo of pain passed from one generation to the next. When the film finally shows several Candymen appearing as the hive speaks through Anthony, the theory becomes reality. Candyman is not a ghost. He is a warning, a reminder, a swarm of forgotten men demanding to be seen. Imposters. There is nothing more unsettling than realizing the people you trust are not who they claim to be. The Visit leans on that fear from the very first scene, and audiences felt it instantly. But something is wrong. Nana scratches at walls. Pop-Pop hides use diapers. Their smiles feel borrowed. Their movements are offbeat, like puppets trying to imitate human warmth. And even before the movie dropped, fans were already piecing together the truth from the trailer alone. The uneasy silence at dinner, the strange rules, the way the grandparents never mention familiar stories, everything pointed toward one terrifying theory. These were not their grandparents at all. Shyamalan plays into it by framing every interaction like a test the kids are failing without realizing it. When Nana lunges at the girl in the dark, when Pop-Pop violently attacks the stranger under the house, the mask starts cracking. And finally, the reveal hits exactly the way theorists predicted. These two elderly people are escaped psychiatric patients who murdered the real grandparents and took their place. No supernatural twist, no magic. Just raw human danger hiding in plain sight. And the scariest part is how easy it was for them to slip into those roles. Unnoticed. Accomplice. In Saw 2, the entire horror of the story hinges on one question nobody could shake from the trailer. How is Jigsaw pulling all of this off? The first film already showed us he was sick, dying, barely able to move. But now there's a giant house, multiple traps running at once, precision timing, and a psychological game unfolding in real time. Something was off. Fans immediately began to theorize that the only logical answer was the darkest one. And not just any help, someone who had already survived him. Throughout the film, the signs are everywhere. The traps are too complex for one dying man. Someone had to place the victims, load the needles, design the rooms, prepare the recordings. And the camera lingers just a little too long on Amanda, the girl who escaped in the first movie. She speaks about Jigsaw with an unsettling calm, almost reverence. Her body language is wrong for a traumatized survivor. It is too controlled, too loyal. By the time the twist hits, the audience has been subconsciously primed by every single clue. The shift in her tone, the way she defends Jigsaw, the familiarity she has with the traps, and then the reveal lands like a hammer. Amanda has been Jigsaw's apprentice the entire time, quietly building the nightmare beside him. Every theory was right. Every breadcrumb was intentional. And the scariest part is what it confirms. Jigsaw was never dangerous because he was strong. He was dangerous because he was believed. God. Shin Godzilla didn't just reboot the franchise, it rewired how fans interpreted the creature entirely. From the very first teaser, people noticed something unsettling. This Godzilla didn't move like an animal, didn't growl like a beast, and didn't behave like anything that belonged on Earth. It crawled, split open, morphed, regenerated, almost like it was becoming something, evolving at a pace no natural organism could match. Fans began throwing out a theory that sounded ridiculous at first, but slowly became impossible to ignore. This Godzilla wasn't just a monster, it was a god. And the movie itself almost dares you to think it. Government officials describe it with religious language. Its regenerative abilities defy biology. Its heat beam is so unnatural that it feels mythic, a divine judgment rather than an attack. Even the name Shin became its own puzzle. In Japanese, Shin can mean new, true, or god. Fans assume the title was a clever hint, and the film practically confirms it. The characters speak about Godzilla not like a threat, but like an inevitability. Something ancient, cosmic, punishment rather than predator. Then the final form appears, a nightmare frozen mid-evolution, sprouting humanoid shapes as if it were preparing to create life or absorb it. Suddenly, the theory becomes unavoidable. Godzilla didn't come to destroy Japan, it came to judge it, and the ending only deepens that dread because the creature is stopped, but not killed. Not ended. Just paused. A god doesn't die, it waits. Patient. From the very first trailer of Shutter Island, fans sensed something was off. Not with the island, not with the missing patient, but with Teddy Daniels himself. The movie wanted you to think it was a detective story, a man uncovering a conspiracy inside an asylum, but the cracks were showing long before the twist arrived. Every hallucination, every memory glitch, every emotional breakdown raised the same chilling question. What if Teddy isn't investigating the hospital? What if he belongs in it? Viewers noticed how the staff treated him. Not like an officer with authority, but like a man being humored. Doctors whispered around him, nurses stared at him with pity, and the patient interviews always felt strangely rehearsed, like everyone was participating in a play he wasn't aware he was starring in. Then there were the dreams, the burning woman, the drowned children, the visions that felt less like clues and more like confessions. People began to suspect the unthinkable. Teddy wasn't losing his mind, he had already lost it. And when the film finally reveals his true name, Andrew Lettis, everything clicks into place. His investigation wasn't real. His partner wasn't real. His mission wasn't real. It was all a therapeutic roleplay designed to break through his delusion. Teddy wasn't hunting a murderer. He was the murderer. A man consumed by guilt, inventing an identity strong enough to carry the weight of what he did. And in the end, his final question, which would be worse, to live as a monster or to die as a good man, proves the theory fans had guessed all along. Teddy didn't escape the island. He never could. Because it wasn't a prison. It was home. Wrong. In Puppet Master 2, something feels twisted the moment Andre Toulon returns, not resurrected as a wise old creator, but as a warped imitation of the man he once was. Fans had long suspected that this version of Toulon was not really Toulon at all, at least not in the way we remembered him from the prequels. The gentle puppeteer who cherished his creations had become something colder, meaner, wrong. And when you rewatch the film through that lens, the signs were there from frame one. His resurrection isn't triumphant, it's corrupted. Toulon doesn't rise with purpose, he rises with hunger. The puppets don't greet him with affection, they move with hesitation, like animals unsure if the thing wearing their master's face is even alive. Instead of guiding them, he uses them. Instead of protecting people, he preys on them. Instead of art, he seeks formulas, flesh, anything to keep his decaying body moving. Fans guessed the truth years before it was confirmed. The resurrection went wrong. It didn't bring Toulon back, it brought back a shell. Even his disguise, the eerie Iraqi Chani mask, feels like a metaphor for the lie he has become. He's no longer a puppeteer fighting evil forces. He is the evil force. The comics later confirmed it outright. The process that revived him twisted him, rotted his soul, and left only a distorted shadow driven by obsession. Toulon wasn't resurrected to continue his story. He was resurrected to end it, dragging everyone around him into the nightmare his puppets were never meant to serve. Revenge. In What Lies Beneath, everything in Claire's house feels off in a way that viewers could sense long before the movie reveals its truth. And long before audiences ever saw the film, the trailer itself practically gave the twist away. The setup looks like a simple haunting. Objects move on their own, reflections shift in the water, and Claire becomes convinced a young woman's ghost is reaching out to her. But none of this is random. None of this is aimless. Every clue points toward one chilling word: revenge. Fans watching the early marketing caught it immediately. The trailer makes it crystal clear that Norman cheated, that the girl he was secretly involved with killed herself, and that she's now haunting them. But that's where the theory sharpened. People noticed the little details, the fear in Norman's voice, the way the ghost's appearances always corner Claire closer and closer to the truth, the uncomfortable tension anytime the missing girl was mentioned. That's when fans started asking the real question: what if she didn't kill herself? What if Norman killed her? And the movie confirms exactly that. The haunting isn't aimless terror. It's targeted. It's purposeful. The ghost doesn't want to torment Claire. She wants Claire to remember, to investigate, to uncover the truth the water keeps trying to wash clean. Every submerged clue, every flicker in the bathtub, every whisper in the walls is the victim's way of dragging her murderer back into the light. Her death wasn't an accident. It wasn't suicide. It was Norman. And her spirit isn't peaceful nor forgiving. She is the embodiment of unfinished justice, determined to expose the man who buried her and walked away. The audience knew it before the characters did. The marketing practically told us. And when the movie finally peels back the last layer, the theory isn't just correct, it's inevitable universe. From the moment Alien and Blade Runner released decades ago, fans kept spotting tiny clues that felt too specific to be coincidences. And long before any director confirmed it, audiences built an unshakable theory. These two stories weren't just similar, they were happening in the same universe. People noticed the shared tone first, the oppressive corporatism, the synthetic life, the gritty future where humans don't feel fully human anymore. Then they spotted the details, screens with identical interface designs, off-world colony ads that mirror each other, and subtle references to the same megacorporate industrial machines that quietly control everything behind the scenes. It was never loud, it was never obvious, but it was always there. And that was enough for fans to connect the dots. If replicants existed in Blade Runner, what stopped the same technology from stretching into deep space? If Weyland-Yutani could send miners into the void, what stopped them from experimenting on artificial life back on Earth? The themes aligned too perfectly, as if both movies were describing different corners of one broken future. One trapped on a polluted Earth, the other stranded in a cold galaxy where corporations value contracts more than human survival. Then the moment of confirmation arrived. Ridley Scott openly admitted what fans already knew. Yes, Deckard and Ripley could exist in the same timeline. Yes, Tyrell and Weyland operate in the same industrial shadow. And yes, the universe that built replicants is the same one reckless enough to fund expeditions that lead directly to xenomorphs. Suddenly, a quiet theory transformed into canon. That single admission changed how people rewatched both films. Replicants weren't just a side concept anymore. They might be the very reason humanity survived long enough to meet something worse. And Weyland-Yutani's obsession with perfect organisms suddenly made sense in a world already obsessed with more human than human. Two franchises, one universe. And fans solved the puzzle years before anyone said the words out loud. Formless. The thing has one rule. Whatever you think it looks like, it isn't. For decades, viewers tried to decode the creature's true form, assuming that somewhere beneath the layers of copied flesh and stolen identities, there had to be an original shape. But the deeper fans studied it, the more unsettling the theory became. What if the thing has no natural form at all? What if every version of it we see is just another mask? That theory gained traction because of how the creature behaves. It never reveals anything about itself. It never communicates. It never even hesitates. It simply becomes whatever it needs to be in order to survive. A dog, a man, a twisted nightmare of every organism it has ever touched. Fans started arguing that this wasn't a creature in the traditional sense. It was an infection, a biological virus whose only instinct was replication, a parasite that had long abandoned anything resembling a stable physical identity. And eventually, creators close to the franchise confirmed what fans suspected all along. The thing isn't a shapeshifter because it has no shape to shift from. It's a contagion wearing the bodies of its victims like clothing, constantly rebuilding itself out of whatever tissue it absorbs. And that means the most horrifying part isn't when it mutates into something monstrous, it's when it looks perfectly human, because that's when it's most dangerous. It also explains the ending that has haunted audiences for decades. Two survivors sitting in the snow, neither sure if the other is still human, because the thing could look exactly like either of them. It doesn't need fangs or tendrils to be terrifying. Its greatest weapon is the fact that it can be anyone, and its true form is something we will never see, because there isn't one. UFO. From the very first poster for Nope, just a lone cloud with a ribbon trailing out of it, fans were convinced something was hiding up there. And they were right, just not in the way anyone expected. Instead of giving us the classic flying saucer alien abductors, Jordan Peele twisted the entire genre by revealing that the UFO wasn't a ship at all. It was the creature, a living predatory organism disguised as a cloud, patiently hovering over a quiet California ranch like a hawk waiting for movement in the grass. Viewers guessed early that aliens were involved, but the extent of what Peele was doing didn't hit until that first feeding scene. The one where the saucer tilts, inhales, and suddenly the camera cuts inside its throat as screaming victims are sucked through its pulsing, narrowing chambers. Fans immediately realized the unsettling truth. This wasn't extraterrestrial technology, it was extraterrestrial biology. And once that clicked, the entire movie reframed itself, the cloud that never moved. The horses panicking for no reason, the way electrical power died each time it drifted overhead. The UFO wasn't hunting like a pilot with a mission, it was hunting like a wild animal, territorial, reactive, unpredictable. Not intelligent in the human sense, just instinctive and lethal. Theories exploded online. Was this creature part of a species? Was it ancient? Had it been on Earth longer than we knew? Peele later confirmed that the alien is meant to feel closer to a deep-sea predator than a sci-fi alien, something that evolved to survive by ambush, camouflage, and consumption. A creature that doesn't abduct, it devours. And the worst part is, the implication fans noticed immediately. If one of these things exists, then others could too. Drifting above cities disguised as clouds. Watching. Waiting. Feeding.